Welcome to UrbanHood, your learning platform. Urban Food Alliance is a 501c nonprofit which reaches out to the needy and the homeless who need warm, fresh cooked, nutritional meals. Urban Food Alliance services the needy in our neighborhoods. Urban Food Alliance works in conjunction with UrbanHood and Speak EQ. UrbanHood is a free learning platform to promote personal development and financial awareness. We simply ask our visitors and members to make a donation to Urban Food Alliance if they are gaining from the knowledge provided. Speak EQ offers classes at low cost and donates the profits from those classes to Urban Food Alliance. Our mission is educating families to build and preserve capital. Our vision is that all families deserve happiness and financial freedom.
Lines of people formed outside of this New Jersey restaurant today. Khan Baba of Franklin Park offers free meals to families every Friday during lunchtime. The response from the community has been overwhelming.
I think it's great because there's a lot of people that are not working and we're all suffering. You know, we have kids, grandkids.
It's very simple. You walk up, they ask for your name, address, and phone number. They asked me how many children I had, and they gave us some little goodies, some snacks for the kids.
Today I'm seeing an enormous amount of people that need help, and it's really it's sad. But we are very happy to help in any way that we can.
The Urban Food Alliance to reduce starvation in local neighborhoods.
And what I see, the Spanish community, they don't get nothing. So I was thinking to help them out because mostly they work in the restaurant business and they lost their job.
In the state of New Jersey, 1 out of 7 people sleep hungry. That's when I said, look, if you look around, your neighbors can go hungry.
I want to share that while Delaware, let me know once you're ready, and then I'll pass it. I want to share quickly that.
I'm ready, Mushi. Once you're done, you can pass it on to me.
So this week, I'm looking at the economic, what's the big economical factor is going to may happen. But Monday looks like there isn't much thing going on Monday. But then on Tuesday, I don't see anything really that big news on Tuesday side. But one of the things, sometimes, take a look at this mortgage, sometimes with the in real estate market, it makes a difference that you can take a look at it. But another core PPI, it's not going to make market too much change, but this is the number to keep an eye on. Wednesday, the economy, the federal is not the Fed is coming up with the budget balance, and this might also give some indication. People are talking about recession and what happened. We might keep an eye on this. It may not, and the main one of the number also core CPI is that also to keep an eye on this coming Wednesday. Thursday there isn't much stuff happening, but Friday the retail, one of the things the retail manufacturing sales, that manufacturer sales and retail sales, business inventories, this might production data. This on Friday, that's mainly just is going to show up. How the retail sales are happening. That might make a difference to the market. Just we know that it's almost like a month or month and a half, 2 months. That new economy is starting. And the business is slowly starting. You can see that the small business, the Russell 2000, the business are doing slowly well. But this number makes it's going to be one of the indicators that market is looking to see, are we really heading towards that recession, or do people, consumer is still spending money, and what's happening? That's something what I would see. Be careful if those who is especially doing options, that it might pull back, just like what you have seen last week. That market was really choppy at the beginning, then it came back up. It gave a false hope around 10, 11, and after that it just tanked. So it could happen. Just be careful on this number, right? And while that's happening, and then what I want to share, that I know that we have some new guests. If you are new, please do know that we are a non-profit organization. Our main parent organization is named UrbanFoodAlliance.org. What we do at the bottom of the website, also we have the link of powered by Urban Food Alliance. You are welcome to take a look at it, that website. But pretty much that's a website where we help people with needy people with the food, and all the details are sitting there. But I'm not going to spend time on this one. And a short video in the middle is going to tell you that how we are related with Urban Food and UrbanHood. UrbanHood started this service to educate people about the money, educate people about the investment, also educate people how to protect your hard-earned investment by bringing together all kind of investors, short-term, long-term investors together, and harvesting knowledge and educating with one another. We have every day, if you are those new who just found out throughout meetups, and how do you get benefit that we offer to our members. Every day you can come in, look at an ID services, stock of the day. We offer free tips. You can see that around 9 o'clock we'll offer tips, or you have a swing trade. When I say swing trade, meaning you are buying it, you're keeping the stock overnight for days or weeks. We tell you what price to buy. Here you'll see the support. Support means buying price. We tell you your registered target, what price you should start considering selling, and then start collecting the profit. If stock does not go in your favor, what price you should take the loss, move on. We also kind of guide you as you learn with us, that to give you some guidance. And some of the stock that what we are seeing the same day, people are able to make money and on and move on. Or some people just keep it longer. You see that this is all last Friday, and then this another one, and then third one, that each day we offer 2-3 tickets every day, and it's free to our members, people who join us, and just come find us from the website. Okay. And if you are new to the stock market, we want you to learn, and instead of putting the real money, do some simulation and simulation trading. You can see one of the platform I'm using, and here at the top it says simulated. Look at a simulated trading. Simulated trading means not the real money. I can go buy any stock, and then this is one of the platform, the Think or Swim, given by TD Ameritrade. You can open an account TD Ameritrade, and then you can do this all also. Or some other platform also offer Webull and others on paper trading. Meaning, as you are learning, and it gives you some money, and all the experience you're going to have is all like real time. It's not like you are losing the real value, but you're getting the education. And then what we have on the website, you can see upper right side, and our YouTube channel, we have a lot of videos we post there. It's all the trainings what we are doing. Many of these videos we share. So make sure you subscribe our channel. And I have bunch of videos of this weekend that I processed, and I'll be posting sometime between now and tomorrow. All right, on there. So you can get a lot of free helps, and those who wants to be getting more membership, that you can join us. Look at our membership and difference are sitting there. Well, free membership and paid membership. The money we raise towards this service, it goes to our cause, supporting our cause. And there are a lot of classes. Learning Center, you see Learning Center courses offered. We have many 8 or 9 courses. These are all like more than 10-15 hours of courses are all online, that you can get it as you sign up each one. Then you can also get help in person. All the details sitting there will let you know. So that's what I want to make sure that people who joined with us, to see how do you keep learning with us and grow as you have more confidence with the paper trading, and then learn, and then you can do the real money. And if you want to join us, our live during the market time live chat room, you see upper right, we have Telegram, we have something called Discord. Discord is an app. This you can look at it from your phone or from your computer. Both of them work phone or computer. But I'll show you what Discord is. It's just like an app from the desktop. You can see in the app, and every day we tell people we have paid services that we have been Benzinga and others, Morning Stars, you get it. And being a paid member, that you have access to those information. And the monthly fee for one individual is more than $100. But by paying $25 with us to supporting our cause, so it offsets your cost. At the same time, it supports also our cause, and it also helps you for your trade. So that's what I want to share with you guys, that please do keep learning. And I know there are many people, new investors, slowly trying to see if it's the right time. And you hear a lot of people make money, but same time you will hear more people lose money than make money, but not everyone going to be openly announce that they are kept losing money. So our goal of the UrbanHood is educating people. If we help you to make money, then we ask you, please do donate and support our cause. So I do want to make sure that people knows what it is. Your support is there. Now we're going to do next step, that every week what we do. There's 9:30 p.m. We give you some updates about the events going to happen. You should keep an eye, and some of the tickets we're going to share with you based on our experience. But we do want you, please do your own due diligence. And then Delavar is one of the trader who has been trading, and he's a trainer, also instructor for our classes, and many students he has throughout our organization. They are very successful with the trades. So I'm going to hand over to Delavar, and then make sure that if you have any question, please do ask him question. And just make sure, Delavar, are you here?
Yes, Moshi.
Okay, so you should be the co-host now. So let me know. So floor is yours. But meanwhile, that if you have any question, please do type it in the chat line. I will try to be respond as much as I can. But know this, in meetups, we are keep publishing. We have Tuesday night. We'll have every Tuesday night. Also, we do this kind of event, the free trainings, and we have the members who are paid members. We have private classes also for paid members. Every Tuesday, and sometimes we do Wednesday, Friday, weekends. So there are a lot of classes constantly happening, and to our members who starts free, and slowly as they become more experienced, they become the paid members to support our cause. The floor is yours, Delavar.
Okay, thank you, Moshi. So I'm going to start sharing my screen with you guys. Bear with me.
And at the end, would love to hear from some of you.
Okay, so everyone should be able to see my screen. Welcome back, everyone, for let me do a disclaimer.
Delavar, I did not do disclaimer. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to do it right now. Yeah. All right, guys, welcome back to another stock market talk. We do this every Sunday to prepare you guys for the upcoming trading week. We go over multiple different things as far as the fundamentals, economic events, any earnings, a number of different things on the fundamental side, as well as diving into the technicals of current market conditions and seeing where I think that's certain stuff is headed and whatnot, right? So once again, before I do that, guys, just a quick little disclaimer. This is for educational purposes only. This is not financial advice. I myself, UrbanFood, UrbanHood, no one is liable for any of the decisions that you make. Please do your own due diligence before you enter, exit, or make any investment decision. Use information at your own risk. Once again, this is just my point of view. Just want to make a very, very clear disclaimer, right? Especially for anyone who's trading options for the first time, or even simply getting into the real markets and capital markets. Definitely paper trade and consult a financial advisor, and then proceed. once again, guys, educational purpose only. It's not financial advice. Okay, so now that that's out the way, let's just kind of dive into the charts, right? The first thing I want to take a look at is the E-mini futures, right? I mean, I have a bunch of different moving averages, volume weighted average prices. So for the purpose of seeing it better, I'm going to be removing a lot of these just so it's easier for everyone to get a better visual of what exactly I'm charting here, right? So the E-mini futures, right? I think we're going to see a breakout. I'm sorry, not a breakout. I think we might see a test of these previous highs of around 3,400. I have no doubt about that, right? And the main thing that's making me believe that is because we have stimulus talks that are coming in. We have an expected break of all-time highs, right? So there's a lot of stimulus talks, a lot of bullish sentiment, as well as, you know, Trump is always going to be trying to pump up the markets. So, you know, similar to last time, right? I mean, I think last time what happened was we saw a breakout, and I said we want to see the price hold above it and then continue, right? So that's kind of what I'm expecting on the current market conditions, right? My next profit target is going to be 3,400. I expect it to hit this point. I don't expect it to pierce through it and, you know, just drastically shoot up. What I'm looking at is something a little bit more like this. Price is going to come here. I want to see it bounce here. I want to see the price hold for a few days, maybe for you know, 1 week or maybe even less, but at least hold the price level there. And then I want to see a continuation to the upside, right? I'm not really going to play anything to the upside if we're just kind of seeing the stock shoot through, seeing the market shoot through the sky, right? I mean, obviously you can make money. I most likely will be taking on a few trades in that scenario. But what I would like to happen is I want to see the price hit this, and then I want to see a price hold, and then I want to see a continuation to the upside, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking at as far as current market conditions go, right? That's the E-mini futures. If we take a look at SPY is retesting the previous highs as well. I think we're going to either break through 340. I think we're going to hit 340, and then we're going to see a continuation after that. Very similar to last time, right? We've been seeing some consolidation. We saw some choppiness, and then the market saw some nice moves to the upside overall, right? And now with continued talks of the stimulus, another stimulus package coming, if we can get that on way, I think that's also going to give us another strong pop to the upside, right? As well as any COVID vaccine news, all that good stuff, right? So this is all a little bit speculative, but that's what the current market conditions look like, right? Another thing I want to talk about is the VIX, right? For those of you that do not know, the VIX is a volatility index. If VIX goes up, market goes down. If market goes up, VIX goes down, right? So all in all, VIX basically represents any uncertainty around the market, right? If there's investors that are fearful, VIX is going to start shooting through the sky, right? This is almost, sometimes people buy this as insurance in their portfolio. Well, not necessarily the VIX. I think people buy the VIVIX, but as you see here, this is right before COVID happened. And then once COVID happened, we saw the VIX shoot up from $14 to a high of $85, right? So this kind of shows you exactly what the VIX is, right? But as far as that goes, I think the VIX is looking pretty good, right? We finally got a break below 24, right? The main area I was sitting around was around this $23, $24 area. We finally saw a break below it, and then we got a nice push back up again. But I think if we can continue to see VIX slowly continue to drop, and we see, you know, more stimulus package news come through, as well as any other positive catalysts as far as any economic events, we report good numbers or better than expected. I think we're going to see the VIX come back down. I think we're going to see investors become a little bit more comfortable. So that's as far as the VIX goes, right? Now, as far as any specific tickers, right, I'm going to start with a few large cap companies. Apple, right? Apple, we saw some nice pop last week or so with the news about the 4-for-1 stock split. I think Apple, I mean, I've been saying this for every stock market talk for as long as we've been doing this. I've been bullish on Apple. I think the stock is going to continue to do well. Once again, this is not something that I trade often. You know, this is something I'm going to buy and I'm going to hold for a pretty long time, most likely. But I have no problem day trading it, right? I think I've signaled it before. There's no problem doing so. But what the current conditions as far as what I'm seeing is it's being supported by that 20-day moving average. It was a little oversold at 457, but 446.54 is the main area of resistance, right? There seems to be some general supply. We did get a break above it, but we saw some strong selling happen around that area, and now the market is supporting it at this area right here, right? So 450, like I said, generally around this area, if I can get a pop above that, I think we're going to see a retest of 457 this upcoming week, and then a continuation. Once again, I'm bullish on Apple. That's just my personal sentiment. But once again, we have to be ready for both sides of the spectrum. So if I were to do any specific trade on this, I'd have to be prepared for the downside as well. There is a gap that needs to be filled right here on a short-term level, right around right there. Around 426, 427 area, there's a gap that needs to be filled. So if I get a break below, 435.40, I think we can see some room to around that 430 and then 426 area. There's just a gap that needs to be filled there. But before it hits 426, I think we're going to see it get supported around 431. So 435 below that, I think it has room to 431. Below 431, I think it has room to 426. But if we get a nice pop over here above 446.54, and then we can get a retest of the previous highs around 457.65, I think we're going to see a nice continuation to the upside. We've been seeing some nice pops here, right? So I don't think there's any doubt about that for something like Apple. Also keep in mind, this right here is the S&P ETF. So the SPY, if we get some sort of good news with regarding current market conditions and stimulus packages, I think we're going to see another spike in the SPY, right? If we might see even a break of $40. And since Apple is one of the most heavily weighted stocks within this S&P index fund, it's going to move accordingly, right? Even though if it has nothing to do with Apple directly, it's just directly weighted in. So I think Apple's going to follow that trend as well, right? Along with many other large cap companies like Microsoft might follow that same trend. As you can see here, this was a trend line that we caught last week, I believe. But with current market conditions, what I'm heading towards as far as Microsoft goes is this seems to be a strong level of support for Microsoft, 211.46. A break below that, I think it's going to get supported around 210. Below that, I think it has room to 208. But what I'm seeing is there's a general resistance around this area right here, right? As you guys can see in the past, the price has a very hard time to break it. And anytime it's touched it before, we've seen some aggressive moves to the downside, or even anytime it gets near it, as you see here, aggressive moves to the downside. Now what we're seeing is we're seeing the price hold this area right here, and it's sort of just sitting at that 20-day moving average and getting supported at that 211, 210 area, right? If we can see the stock sort of consolidate, similar to what the market I'm expecting it to do, if we can see it potentially retest, if we can see it, let me draw on this. If we can see it, bear with me. If we can see this Microsoft kind of sit above right here, break above, and then if we can see a retest and then continuation, this right here would be a nice point as to where I would like to enter. I never like to enter on the first break of the stock. That's usually where you get caught on the wrong side. I want to wait for it to pull back to this previous level around 217, and then I want to see it continue to the upside, right? That's as far as Microsoft goes. And then there are my key levels to the downside. Okay. Tesla is another one of the stocks I usually like to trade this very heavily, as you guys can see. But so as you guys can see, some resistance around 1513. Once again, this is one of the stocks that consolidates for a very long time, and then boom, we get a nice pop to the upside or to the downside. We're currently at the 100-day moving average. So this seems to be generally a strong area of support. So if we can see it make a nice move out of this, that can be, we might be expecting a pop soon. Also, keeping into context this little wedge pattern that is forming here. Once again, this doesn't necessarily mean it's going to move to the downside or to the upside. Once again, Tesla, I'm personally very bullish on it. I think the stock can continue to go higher. I don't know exactly when. I own stock of Tesla. So once again, I am bullish on it, but as far as technical analysis goes right now, it's not overvalued, it's not mid-valued, it's not completely, it's not overvalued, and it's not completely undervalued, right? It's just kind of in the middle with current market conditions, right? If we do get a break below 1430, I think we might have room to 1367, a break below 1367. The strong area of support is going to be that $1,300 area. If we get a break below 1300, there is a gap that needs to be filled at 1220, right? So I have no doubt that this gap can get filled potentially. So 1220 is another key area, right? As you guys can see here, this purple line right here is a gap that needs to be filled. So I'm keeping an eye out for that in case some negative catalyst comes out for something like Tesla, right? But once again, Tesla is a very big fan of forming these triangle patterns and then squeezing out shorts and then popping to the upside, as you guys can see here. So that's kind of what it's doing now, except it's doing it over a long period of time. And I wouldn't be too surprised if we kind of see another one of these triangles form and we see either a pop to the upside or to the downside, right? Once again, I am bullish on it, so I do have my certain levels set to be prepared for the upside and or downside. So that's that as far as as far as Tesla goes, right?
Okay, brother Trevor.
Yeah.
Before you jump on Amazon, this is the first time I'm joining this call, and I'm sorry if I not following the format of the call. Can I ask a question here?
Usually we wait questions towards the end, or you can write in the chat box.
Okay.
So write in the chat box. I'm going to get to everything, right? Write in the chat box, and then once I finish going over a few tickers, I'll definitely touch on your question. Okay.
Okay. Sure. No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, sure. So Amazon, once again, on a larger time frame, it's definitely consolidating, right? It's just bouncing between these areas right here. As you can see, every week the stock was popping up nicely. Right? We for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, we saw consecutively each week we saw a green candlestick, right? And we finally saw a big green one. But as far as this price action goes on a large time frame, this indicates to us that there's a lot of people bought the dip around this 2,900 area for something like Amazon, right? That's what that indicates to me as a trader. So, like I said, what I'm seeing right now is this area right here. If I were to focus on the 4 hour, not the 4 hour, let me go to the daily chart. Bear with me. Right, this is kind of what I'm seeing right now, right? In this specific area, we're just seeing the stock price for the past few trading days has been bouncing between 3,100 and 3,245, right? It's touched it got supported here. We're getting into sort of consolidation, right? If we do get a breakout out of this, I think we're going to see a nice move to the upside and a retest of this high level right there for Amazon. Once again, Amazon is another one of those stocks that I'm bullish on. So if you get a break above 3,200, like I said, all my targets are right there, as you guys can see. Above 3,188, my target's gonna be 3,214. Above 3,214, my target's 3,245. And then all in all, if we get a continuation there, I think we're gonna test previous highs. I personally am bullish on Amazon, but right now, as far as current market conditions go, right, last trading session, we saw Amazon drop 1.78%, is down $57 on the day. It's currently undervalued on the stock, right? It's 37 on the RSI. I'm sorry, it's 37 points on the RSI. So I think we might see some potential move to the upside over here, as you guys can see on the 1 hour chart. Also, as far as technical charting goes, right? I mean, what we're seeing is some sort of cup form here. It's a cup and handle that I'm hinting towards here. As you guys can see here, we got a cup here, and then now we might see a handle form here. And then if we can get a retest of this, then we might see a pop to the upside, right? Ideally with these, the handle right here, what I might want to see is, once again, I want to see a pullback, right? I want to see the stock pull back and then continue to the upside. But once again, it's never perfect. So if we can just see a nice pop to the upside, I think that'd be something that's going to be bullish for Amazon. But that's as far as Amazon goes. But I also have my levels to the downside, as you guys all have here. This can be used for anyone who's doing any intraday trading, right? For day traders, if you want to set your profit targets here, these are the levels that I use as far as if I'm placing puts or calls, right? I always like to prepare myself for all market conditions. Another stock that I'm interested in this week is Roku. If I look at Roku on the daily chart, okay, so Roku broke out of this triangle pattern here. I'm going to remove it. Remove drawing. All right, so Roku has been very interesting, right? We kind of saw it make some huge upside and then a huge downside all within the same day. And the stock price is still able to close green on the day, 1.64% up. I think post earnings, they were, shooting through the sky. And then now we're just kind of seeing the stock price linger about. I don't really see any significant price action in this current stock, but I think this stock, if it does have some room to the downside, we might see it dance around this 144 area, right? I think some very strong support it has is that 150 area. So if it breaks below that, I think we might test 144, right? So below 150, I think there's room to 147. Below 147, I think there's room to 144. On the daily chart, I mean, this looks pretty bullish, right? I mean, we saw the stock take a huge dip. A lot of people took advantage of buying the dip here. We got a huge move to the upside. And now what we're seeing is, once again, this was a gap that needed to be filled. We did see the gap fill. And now we're kind of seeing we're seeing that the buyers are in control, right, from the previous trading session, but they're not very strong, right? There seems to be some strong price rejection, specifically at that 164 area, 165. I'm sorry. If you get a break above 165 for something like Roku, I think the stock can pop again to the upside, right? Because if you see it in the past, Roku is a huge fan of making strong, aggressive moves to the upside after consolidating, right? So once again, I mean, I can go back and show you guys many times where Roku has consolidated, for example, right here, right? Or even right here, right? Stock sort of lingers and then pops, lingers and then pops, and then comes back down and then pops again, right? Lingers and then pops, right? I'm not just saying that it always pops to the upside. It can also pop to the downside, right? Lingers here, pops to the upside. So now I'm kind of seeing it sit around this range right here. And it's a fairly large range. It's about maybe $15 to $22 to $25 range, if I'm not mistaken, from 144 to 164, $20 range more or less. So if we can get a break above 165, I would not be surprised if we can see it test 170 and then 176 as the previous target for something like Roku. As far as Roku goes, that's that. Let me see if I have anything else on my mind. I think Facebook is another one of the stocks, right? So Facebook has a pretty bearish candlestick that's forming on the daily chart, right? Usually this indicates that there's some sort of a lot of selling pressure or some sort of large sell order that tends to get filled around this 280 area. It simply could be some profit-taking stock was sitting around 200. So as it makes this nice move to the upside, you also have to understand when the stock moves up parabolically, it can also move parabolically to the downside, right? Also, just understand that Facebook does have a lot of gaps that need to be filled. For example, right here, the 234 area, 235 area, there's a gap that needs to be filled. It's beginning to get overvalued on the RSI. I wouldn't be too surprised if we get some sort of catalyst about Facebook acquiring TikTok, if I'm not mistaken, or I think Microsoft's doing that. But Facebook is also one of those companies that's also heavily driven by any specific acquisition of another company or something always on the news with Facebook, right? So keep an eye out for that. But all in all, there's a gap that needs to be filled around 235, 234 area. So I'm going to be waiting for that if I'm going to ever enter on something like Facebook long term. That's that for Facebook. I think I touched on Google. Where is it, Google? All right, so this is not something that I trade very often, but a lot of people tend to ask for it, so I'm going to do it. We kind of saw a breakout of the previous highs, and we got this continuation to the upside. As far as the current market conditions go, right, it's not overvalued, but it's also not undervalued, right? It's kind of just in the middle, considered fair value around this current price. Market did not really, give this stock a hit in the previous trading session. It was only down $5 on the day, so it's not too bad. If I can, right now what it's doing is holding that 20-day moving average. If we can see it pop from here, I think we're going to see some nice upside for something like Google, right? Once again, I don't really trade this as much. I don't know exactly what the price action is, so I don't really like to say much on stocks that I'm not very familiar with, but that's as far as the technical analysis goes on that. Now, let me start looking at the chat box. If you guys have any specific tickers you want me to take a look at, or if there's any questions, write it in there. I'm going to start reading through it, okay? So first one, someone says, let me see, bear with me guys. TDOC. So TDOC has been very interesting, right? I think a lot of people have been wondering exactly why TDOC is taking a hit in certain market conditions, right? I was very bullish on TDOC when it was around this 160 area. Had a nice push to 253. But if you take a look here, TDOC does have a little bit more room to the downside. I think it tends to respect this 100-day moving average. I wouldn't be too surprised if it hits that 184 and then continues back to the upside, because as you see here, the stock has just been rallying, right? I mean, we've been seeing some nice upside for it. It went from 150 to a high of 253, right? So a lot of these stocks that COVID had a huge impact on, right? In the upside perspective, I think are now kind of just reporting their numbers, and there's not as much positive sentiment as people thought, right? So I think a lot of investors might be pulling out their money, and the market is kind of adjusting to that. So I think what we might see here is this little bit more pullback, right? I think this might have a little bit more room to the downside, maybe around that I would say 183-ish, 180 area specifically. I wouldn't be too surprised if it might even hit 178, right? But then from there, I think we might see a pop, as well as keeping in mind the RSI is valued at 41 points. So there's a little bit more room to the downside, but I think we might see a potential continuation to the upside for something like TDOC, right? NBEV, right? New Age Beverages Corporation. As far as technical analysis goes, there's a gap that needs to be filled at this level right here. So if the stock ever comes back to the downside, right, I think first spot it's going to hit is potentially $2. A break below $2, I think it definitely needs to fill this gap at $1.75. And if it ever does pop to the upside, it needs to break above 285. Mainly, I would be a little bit more conservative. I would want to see it break $3, right? If it breaks $3, I think the stock can have a little bit more upside. For a stock that, is sitting at 98 cents and then it hits $3 and it's just being very volatile, it's gapping up, it's gapping down, it's most likely driven by some sort of catalyst. So it's hard to do technical analysis on something like that. But that's as far as my technical analysis goes on NBEV, right? It's not something it's not a large cap stock. It's not my cup of tea necessarily. This specific stock, RKT, looks like it's been an IPO. It's only been on the market for about two trading days. Or might have been an offering. Yeah, seems like a new stock. Needs to develop more of a price action history for me to make a trade analysis on this. But as far as RSI goes, I mean, there's just simply not enough information. But all in all, I mean, if I were to say anything about this, I would say around 26.85. There's some aggressive sellers. If we can see a push above 25, we might see some room to 26.85 again, right? But once again, the stock is just so fresh, it's so new on the market. We want to see it develop more of a price action history to determine exactly what it can do, right? Mara, right? I think Mara is a little bit more speculative, as you can see here. As you see here, we have some support around $2.04. Got a nice pop there. Have some support around that $3 mark, right? So I'm going to adjust this. I'm going to say around $3 just to kind of generalize it there. $3. I have some overall resistance at 525. So 525. If we see a break above that, we might see some continuation there. General support around $4, right? So a break below $4, I think has room to $3. A break below $3 simply has room to $2. I mean, the stock dropped 13% in one day. This is most likely, once again, another one of those companies that's news-driven, or it's one of those more something a little bit more along the lines of swing traders. But that's as far as technical analysis goes for something like MARA. Okay. Roku, we touched on. VMware stock was down 1.43% in the previous trading session. What I'm seeing is there seems to be some general support around this area right here, right? That 135-ish, 136 area. A lot of buyers seem to be buying this dip here, right? So if we can kind of see it continue, if we can see it continue this trend where it sort of continues to consolidate here, and then now if we can see this cup and handle form, right? So instead of it touching down to 135, if we can just see it sort of reverse from here and retest 146.75 and then breakout, I think that's something that VMware can see. This is one of those stocks that's not undervalued. It's not completely overvalued. It's currently sitting around that 48-point mark on the RSI, right? So also another thing I want to say, guys, for those of you that are here for the first time, I know that I sometimes do tend to speak speak very fast. And that's simply because we're kind of on this time contingency and I want to try to get through as many tickers as possible. So for those of you that are not picking up as much, I'm sorry for that, but bear with us. The more of these stock market talks you come to, you're going to get more and more familiar with the terminology. And yeah, So this is from Thursday. I think we did this technical analysis. And then what we're kind of taking a look at is a 20-day moving average is crossing over a long-term moving average. That's usually a bearish sign. As you see here, the $75 is a strong level of support for Fastly. It's completely undervalued on the RSI, sitting around 27 points. I think we can see it potentially bounce from 75 and then continue to the upside. But as far as current stock conditions go, general support is around 75. So if that breaks, we might see it have some huge move to the downside potentially. Right? FSLY, we touched on. Apple, I touched on. Work. All right. This stock right here, as you guys can see, had a very strong level of support around $30. Right? We finally got a break below 30. Stock was once again supported around 28, 22. Previous level of support is now acting as resistance. Now the stock is retesting that previous level of support. If we get a break below that, I think we might have some room near 25.63. I would set a mid target first, just to kind of be just to collect some profit a little bit earlier, and that would be between 28 and 25, mainly around that 26.5 area is where I would like to take some profit. If I were to play the stock to the downside. A little undervalued on the RSI, and that valued at 37. Stock tends to respect it on the downside. So I wouldn't be too surprised if this stock sees some downside and then sort of continues there. Uber, right? If we take a look at Uber, I think if my Fibonacci retracement, if we take a look at it here, we got a breakout of that 23.6 level. We got a breakout and then we're getting a retest, right? That's usually a bullish indication. So if Uber, based on the technical analysis that I'm doing here, I think it's going to hold that 32.86 level and then potentially retest 38.44. And then we can possibly see it even hit 38.76. Right? So more of a long-term perspective, my target is around $40 for something like Uber. I think it's looking pretty bullish right now. I wouldn't be too surprised if this stock hits 38.76 specifically, right? I think that's my target. JMIA. Seems to be a very speculative stock, right? I mean, it was at $2, high of 26, 23.9. Kind of strong volume in this point right here, and kind of dead volume throughout this trading session here. So usually what this indicates, once again, is it's up on some sort of catalyst. It's up on some sort of news. And I think the stock, as far as technical analysis goes, once again, I say this a lot. I'm just repeating it to reiterate it. It's kind of hard to do technical analysis on something that is simply news driven. But as far as what I'm seeing, as far as the price action goes, is we got a nice pop to the upside to 23, and instead of the stock sinking back down, just coming back around this area right here to this $9 or $10 mark, what we were seeing is we saw some price hold right here, right? We saw some consolidation between 15.52 and $17, $18, right? So we might have seen a lot of people who made money on this run up here. We saw them take profit, and then we saw more people build a position between this area. Now we're getting another pop there, right? So based on the current market conditions, right, of the stock, what we're seeing is it can retest 23.46. And if it were to break this, we might see it even go higher, right? But once again, this stock seems to be very, very volatile. It was up 12% in the last trading session. So that's that as far as that specific stock goes, right? NKLA, once again, this is another one of those stocks that I feel like is still fairly new on the market. It's not, I mean, a lot of people love to trade it sometimes, but it's not my cup of tea. But a lot of people ask me for it. So below 30, 34, I think has room to $30. And above $40, I think it's so hard to do technical analysis just because it's a fresh stock, right? That's as far as that goes. So I'm not really going to say much more on NKLA. If you go to Apple, we talked about Apple, Costco. I am personally bullish on Costco, right? We were kind of in this wedge pattern here. Kind of got a break out of it. And what we're seeing now is the stock had a break out of this consolidation here and then pop to the upside. What we might expect to see is if it can bounce off this 20-day moving average and continue to the upside. If not, if we get a break below the 20-day moving average, we might see it retest this right here, this area right here. right? Just because that seems to be the previous level of resistance. Once resistance is broken, it's not going to be used as support, which I think will most likely be the 50-day moving average, right? So I wouldn't be too surprised if we see Costco take another $8 hit and come back to 332 and then continue to the upside. That's that. And then someone says, INTC, please rename. Yeah. Also, guys, please rename your iPhone's numbers to your name. This is a professional talk, so we like to know your name. We like to know who exactly is here, and we like to stay in touch. That's that, right? If you take a look at Intel, right, I think Intel took a huge hit once Apple said that they were going to make their own chips. So as far as technical analysis goes, right, I think what we're seeing right now is this stock has more room to the downside than it does to the upside. And the reason why is because it's kind of forming this dead cat bounce, right? This is even though it was completely undervalued around this $47 mark, I think as this stock is kind of forming this H pattern, if we get a break below 47, I wouldn't be too surprised if we see 44. And if it breaks below 44, I wouldn't be too surprised if we see 40, right? When a stock drops very aggressively like this, it's very hard to Sorry about that, guys. I think my mic disconnected. Can everyone still hear me? I think it's better if I use it here, if I talk like this. Okay, great. Thank you. So that's as far as INTC goes, right? Let me see. So, okay, we lost the INTC. Okay. So INTC, basically what I'm saying is, I think they took a huge hit when Apple said that they're no longer taking their chips, or Apple's making their own chips, right? I think there was some sort of fundamental issue there. But it's kind of forming this H pattern, right? This is something that I teach within my technical analysis class, where the stock takes a strong fall to the downside and then is kind of has this dead volume bounce to the upside, right? And as you see here, if I were to zoom out, that's kind of what it's doing right here, right? So once again, I don't really know exactly what are the fundamentals of a company like Intel, right? I don't really follow it, but this is kind of what we're seeing, right? Where we're having this little bounce here. And I think if we get a break below 47, we might see it have some more downside. Even though it's completely undervalued, as you see here, the stock previously has gone extremely low on the RSI, and it did see some downside. So that's as far as INTC goes. Now, let me go back up. I think I lost my spot. Give me a second, guys. Yeah, INTC. Where are people sharing iPhone numbers? Don't know what that means. Do you expect any pullback rotation? Let's take a look at NDX. The NASDAQ. So do you expect any pullback or rotation, right? So I am personally, during this whole, this whole ruckus, this whole market condition, I've been more bullish on the NASDAQ than I've ever been. I think this is going to continue to do well. I think the technology sector is going to continue to lead the way. And I think with current stimulus talks, I think that's just going to add to the fuel, right? I think this is going to continue pushing up. And from the looks of this 4-hour candlestick, I think it's been pretty aggressively supported at that 20-day moving average. As you see here, the stock did have some resistance around this 1100 area. But finally, we got to break out above it, and then we got to retest. And I think now we might see a continuation, right? So I think the pullback we were looking for, it was right here. I think it pretty much happened. I think now we might see it retest this, and then we can see it continue to the upside again, right? FSLY we talked about. NET, let's take a look at that. Also, guys, for once again, because we are on a time contingency, if I did not get to your ticker, I do apologize in advance. But NET, this stock doesn't really have any clear price action. This seems to be very choppy, right? It's sort of just bouncing off of this 20-day moving average. That's simply all I can say. But other than that, 45.28, strong seller sitting there, resistance right here as well. So above 432, not 432, above 43.26 might have room to 45.23. And then we might see it continue there. But right now, this seems to be extremely bearish candlestick, especially with strong volume, especially post earnings. So I wouldn't be too surprised if the stock might see some more downside to maybe even the 50-day moving average. So that's as far as NET goes. SPG, right? Simon Property Group. I think you would have. I think this is one of those stocks that might be better if you do a little bit more fundamental analysis on it. But I mean, what we're seeing right now, as far as the current market conditions go, is we're kind of seeing the stock in this interesting wedge pattern, right? Almost, it's kind of looking something like that. Right, it's kind of sitting between this price action here. I think if I were to do maybe the 1 hour chart, we would see it better. Yeah. So, right. So this is kind of what I'm seeing here for this current stock, right? It's kind of bouncing between this area right here. This $60 area seems to be some strong support. A break below that, I think we might see it have some room to the downside. But on a short-term level, where we're seeing it has some, it's forming this very interesting pattern, right? If we can see it sort of continue to break out, maybe if we can get a break below $60, we might see it have some downside. But other than that, it seems to just be in this very interesting wedge pattern. But this has some pretty choppy price action as well recently. Most of the stocks right now, right? I mean, if you take a look after that COVID drop, everyone has kind of had this V-shaped recovery. This one is just kind of, you know, lingering, right? It's still kind of sitting about this trend line here. So Simon Property Group, I think you might have to do a little bit more fundamental analysis on something like that. So I think I'm going to read a question that someone wrote earlier. Please advise on vaccine stocks, specifically Moderna and biotech. I think he was the one who asked earlier. But let's take a look at Moderna real quick, mRNA. Right, so once again, vaccine stocks, you have to understand, right? These are simply news driven. They're simply driven by when some sort of catalyst comes out, right? When some sort of news comes out, right? So it's very hard to do technical analysis on something like this. But as far as Moderna goes, that's why you see, you know, like I said, $69 or around that $70 mark seems to be a general area of support. But other than that, this stock is either going to shoot up or shoot down, right? It's either make it or break it when it comes to biotech. So I think the best bet when it comes to trading stocks that are, you know, heavily news-based and especially something like biotech and that have to do with, you know, especially with the coronavirus vaccine, the best bet you have is to take full advantage of our paid services. For example, the Benzinga news services, right? So for those of you that are not familiar, Benzinga is a news service that allows you to have access to news very quickly, right? Before it even gets out on certain news outlets, it's given to you on Benzinga, right? So if you're trading biotech, I think that's something that you can use to your advantage. So that's that. And then also if you can talk more about how some earnings that are coming tomorrow, especially when most of the callers are day traders, I guess. So I don't know what you mean by that last part, but as far as earnings go that are coming tomorrow, just understand, I personally don't trade earnings, but if you are, just understand the risk that comes along with it. It's extremely risky, and it's sometimes, in my perspective, I like to characterize it as a gamble, just because you don't really know what you're doing. No one knows what the numbers of the company are, and even if the company reports good numbers, you have to understand that moreover, it's important about what happens on the conference call, what the overall sentiment is of investors. So you have to be a little bit more cautious about that, right? So sometimes the stock can even go up after hours. The next day, it's going to be down a certain amount of percentage, right? So for the most part, guys, that's all I have today. I know a lot of you guys are still writing a lot of tickers in the chat box, but I think I got to a big chunk of them. Once again, I want to say sorry if I did not get to them. I want to thank everyone for joining. Mushi, if you want to take it from there.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Dilawar. I know, guys, there are a lot of questions, you know, people do say, you know, say, you know, many of you are day trader. I understand. If you are the trader, then you will be in our room. That during midday we already share with you based on what we see in the morning and what we expect in the afternoon. Those who is already part of the groups that we are seeing that. So for now, I think we have done more than we expected, but we want to keep the meeting within 1 hour limit. The lover, if you can stop sharing and just want to take few questions, I know people raised their hand. If you can share your video, it will be great. Otherwise, you can unmute yourself. You can ask. We'll take 3 questions and then we'll call it a night.
So you said that you're going to take questions?
Yes, we'll take 3 questions. First 3 and then we'll call it a night. Go ahead.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about Walmart. I know you Dilawar covered most of the big companies, but I was wondering if Walmart, like trading Walmart, is a good idea at this stage. And also one more question, and when Dilawar was talking about Tesla, for small investors, what is the advice and how much we should buy Tesla for how long? Like, is it something like we need to buy for 6 months or for a year or 2?
I think these questions is all the time comes up, and this is how we keep reminding you ahead and others. Please do learn and don't go whenever short term, when it says long term. What is long term means to you?
I mean, holding the stock for more, like almost like for a year, more than a year.
Yes, exactly. That's what. So we cannot. If you are betting on COVID, then you know that it's in 6 months, 9 months, you cannot expect that the stock is going to go high, right? So yeah, that's one of the things. That's why you are seeing Moderna, and there are so many stocks like Moderna and others that are in the pipeline. So, and then Pfizer also is in the pipeline, and AstraZeneca, we hear their name. There are other things. I don't. It doesn't ring the bell with all the names, but
Covax, BioNTech.
yes. Right. So those, until somebody really come up with a concrete or the different phase result, and then they're seeing progress. So 9 months, a year is not enough to come up with a vaccine, right? So then the long term, or especially if you go with a stock like this, that the vaccine, but you never know. It can hit it or it can miss it. Okay.
Okay.
So but that's why sometimes it's good to know some of this stuff, but don't bet on too much on this. Just work on other safe investment where technology is still there are many in technology that Delavar mentioned are on good buy, or non-technology, the metal also silver. We have been sharing silver, gold, also some of them safe haven. You can start considering investing in some of those areas. Banking also is a good sector to consider. Those we share during the midday and other sessions. No.
Okay.
Consider diversifying your portfolio. If it's a long term, this is your good time to start looking at which sector is really underperformed and invest.
Just a follow-up question on one of your comments that you just mentioned, that some of the tech companies, one of the companies that launched a couple of days ago, last week actually, Big Commerce. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like, will that be
right? Many companies like I launched or came new IPO. There is not enough information to know if this company is going to do well or not. Right? I would not put money on until they at least perform some
stabilize or yeah. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I have a question. What do you guys think about Bitcoin? People are very bullish on it.
Bitcoin is with the current market. Bitcoin, yes, you see that last week and week before, slowly it's going up. There are some coin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, many other coins people are investing is going up because technology and in equity side, it just keep going higher. So, but if it's pulled back, and then you see the metal also going higher. So Bitcoin and the with the honor without reason, just because of the dollar also value of dollar also went down under pressure, and Bitcoin is going high, but we do not know how high. We do not know how high it can go. You know, last year or a year before last year that it did went at some point 17, 18,000, and then it pulled back, right? So we will all have to see and see what happens. This is another rotation. It's just rotating one sector to another sector. But I've seen the last week, and at some point it went up, and again it pulled back. Just like many of you, I do invest in some of the Bitcoin, but I don't put too much. I just put I have some rule every week or every month. I put certain amount of money, regardless it goes up and up. I'm trying to see if it ever pays off. But what I have done, with the Bitcoin, I put in there as soon as my money goes in a certain amount of profit margin it gives me. In the pullback, I sell it. I go back again.
Okay.
I'm not with the Bitcoin for long term. I'm just also taking advantage of the dip, and in the dip I buy, and sometimes, certain times, I keep buying every week certain amount of money in Bitcoin.
Great.
Okay. One more question, last one. If not, okay. Thank you.
Can I get one?
Go ahead, last one.
Okay. A lot of, as we saw from Delaver in the news, a lot of tech companies or biotech looks like they are well at the pre-COVID level or maybe even higher. Is this the trend? How could they possibly go so much higher, especially for people who have not found an entry point yet? Some people bought in April, some people didn't buy. Can they buy now? Is it a bubble? Can you keep buying? Is it going to go higher? For example, look at Apple as an example, or any of the other ones, Laver. It's well above the pre-COVID. Looks like recovery is there. Should we buy at this high price? Is the prices too high or not?
Okay. Your answer, your question is like, yes, it's so open-ended, but to answer that question, there is all very on specific to which asset you are looking at. But you use Apple as an example. We have been talking about Apple, and before that, if you look at how Apple readjusted their business, Apple used to be a company in a product heavily based on hardware and the device making, but slowly as industry changed, they also changed their service. So that's why sometimes in a fundamental, it does help to understand what services they are doing and what are they're coming up with, and what are the numbers they're generating. Apple is everything comparing other businesses. Apple is on a rise. They are finding a creative way to not only increase their market share, increase the value of the stockholders' value. So if you are an investor that you want your higher return on your money, we opened up today the meeting with someone that mentioned that for 400 stock or some ridiculous of number generated for her for long-term Apple investor, right? Apple is delivering based on what they're committing. So is this too high? We do not know, but based on current market or comparing other underperforming companies, Apple is outbidding their competition. Hence, still there are rooms. Even today, you look at it, last few weeks, analysts are coming up with Apple, the new price target, and this. It can hit it, right? It's a momentum is in its favor. But you never fight that the trend. Sometimes we use this term in trading, trend is your friend, trend is your friend. Now, Apple trend is higher, you just ride the trend. You do not fight it. Now, as a couple investor like you are worried, is this a bubble or not? Yes, in 2000 it happened. There was a tech bubble. 2008 there was a real estate bubble, right? But each tech bubble, real estate bubble, there are some history that you need to learn what happened in 2000. There are companies just come up with a boom .net and they just have a .net and put a signboard. The investor throw the money like that. There's no tomorrow. 2008 housing bubble happened. There were things that happening in the mortgage industry that people did not pay attention. Now in the market is getting a little bit smarter to know, is this the bubble or it's just like truly they are growing. Currently with the current trend, current administration, current Fed, and currently what happens around the world, just Apple is enjoying the trend. Okay, it may, if the market pull back at some point later on, there will be correction, but not much huge correction. You may not see that Apple going back to 300 level price again, because Apple is reversing, and it's almost like $2 billion company very soon. So I would be very careful to make some of the statement, it's all bubble and not, should I go in? Not. That's why sometimes education, more research, more analysis, and then conviction is going to help you to have that confidence that this is a good investment. Or there are stocks that right now is still in the market that 20%, 30%, 50% discounted price. You can go after those stocks, right?
Thanks for watching. Visit our website, urbanhood.org, and join our community at meetup.com and look for financial freedom for you. Thank you, and we hope to see you soon.